What's up, everybody? Today, I'm very excited to announce my guest. He's a former wide receiver for Laney College, a spotlight star on Netflix's top show, Last Chance U, absolute dog on the football field, RJ Stern. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm just chilling, man. But let's start this show off, bro. Let's tell us a little bit about, your hometown, Oakland, California, how it helped mold you to the man you are. I know we saw a little bit of what Oakland's like on Last Chance U, but I kind of want to hear it just from your eyes and your perspective.
Yeah, man. So I'm not from Oakland. I went to school there, but I'm pretty much just, if it's in California, I lived there at some point. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I've lived in Southern California for a little bit, but I spent most of my time. I was in Richmond, El Sobrante. I was in Sassoon. I was in Fairfield. I was in Berkeley for the last 5 years, and then obviously I spent a ton of time in Oakland. So living in those areas, you see a lot of different stuff. You get a lot of different perspective on like what's life like for other groups of people outside yourself. But it also is just not having my dad around a lot, and then the weird dynamic with my mom. It just made me grow up a lot faster than I had to. But to talk about Oakland is just, you got to be a different kind of cat to go play football, for John Beam in Oakland, California. You got to have. They're very good at weeding out the quitters, man. The cats. We want dogs, okay? So we don't want the weirdos, the guys who don't want to put in the work. The guy, we're feisty, we're in your face, we don't mess around. And yeah, so if you're not about that, you gotta hit the road, just straight up. And I don't. It's hard for me because I grew up in places like Oakland my whole life. So to me, they're just regular people. But having been to like places like Arkansas, Tennessee, Texas, Oregon, Washington, like it's definitely a different environment. So again, you just have to be a different kind of dude or girl to grow up and succeed and thrive in those situations.
Right. Like I used to live in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for about 5 years of my life, and now I live over in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it's completely different. Erie's more like an Oakland, a little bit, a lot of like homeless, a lot of low class stuff like that,
Yeah.
people. And then, obviously like I'm living near Seattle, and it's like you see tall skyscrapers. It's like kind of both, because like Oakland has a little bit of both, and it's just crazy. But so I'm in the same boat, man. I've seen like a bunch of different things. I've been really rich, I've been really poor, I've been in the middle. I've just been kind of everywhere. You know.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about a little bit about like your recruiting process out of high school, like where you played your high school ball at, and how you ended up at like Laney College, stuff like that.
So that's a crazy story in of itself, man. I went to De Anza High School out in Richmond, California. I played all 4 years there. And to be honest, like I was just a really good athlete. But I was a jack of all trades, master of none type of guy. I could catch the ball, I could run real fast. I could do what I needed to do to be successful out there, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't understand football that well. Like it's kind of amazing that I was able to do anything out there, having virtually no knowledge of the game. It would just kind of came naturally to me, especially a receiver. And, I knew that if I wanted to play at the next level, it was going to be a receiver. And so coming out of high school, zero college interest. I didn't have JUCO interest. And I was like, well, there was only one other junior college talking to me. That was Contra Costa College. I wound up not playing football there at all. I under-enrolled in units. I also was dealing with an injury, but it felt like I was still at my high school, when I was a country, because everyone I knew was there. I was like, yeah, like I'm not going to get better going here. So I heard about Laney, and up until that point, I knew nothing about Laney. I knew that they had come and talked to me one time, but they were talking to everybody. They weren't necessarily interested in me. I just knew that they had a really good program, and they had a so to speak, legendary head coach in John Beam, and that would be a good environment for me to go get, test my skills out, see what I'm really made of. And so in January of 2017, I came to Laney, and it was basically like walking on somewhere. They didn't know who I was or where I went to high school or where I came from. They didn't even know my name. And I just kept my head down, worked my tail off, and eventually got the attention of Coach Beam. He was like, okay, this guy's a worker. This guy's like seriously, like he just doesn't stop. He has a motor. So I got recognized for that pretty often. And then I also got recognized for the fact that I didn't understand football. So there was a lot of angry, like just you dumb mother, why do you look at yourself in the mirror? You know, like dye your hair anything but blonde, you know, just all kinds of stuff, man. But you know, I just kept working and kept learning, and by week 5 of my freshman year, I was a starting receiver. I played mainly in the slot, scored my first touchdown that week as well, and it was a lot of fun. And you know, I was primed in going into 2018 to have a breakout season, and the season didn't start out the way that I'd wanted it to. And part of that was I was trying to balance a work schedule, a school schedule, a relationship, and a football season all in one, and I was doing a terrible job of it. I was burned out, and I was starting to have trouble even having fun at that point. Not that I don't love football, couldn't have fun with it, but that's where I was at. And then it's almost like fate, because I remember the bus ride up to Feather River where I got hurt. I was thinking to myself, like, is football really, you know, like what I want to do? I was actually questioning it, man. I was questioning my love for the game, and I always came to the conclusion that yes, this is what I want to do. But I feel like that was a defining moment for me, because that same game I laid out for a ball, I wound up spraining my neck, having a concussion, and then we later found out I had a very severe sports hernia, which is when your abdominal muscle rips from your pelvic bone, or you just have like a tear. Mine was from the pelvic bone, and so it was a long shot that I was going to be able to even play again, man. I mean, it took me 10 months of rehab to get through that injury, you know, from September 15th to April 10th. It was tough. And then after that, I just had so much more gratitude for playing football and being given the opportunity to play football. And I just decided, you know, that I was going to have fun with this. I was going to enjoy it, and I wasn't going to let anybody ruin it for me. And I just got better every day, and I wound up starting like I knew I would start, and had the best season of my career up until this point. And so it's been a long journey, man. And then my recruiting process, as far as like out of the junior college level, I had three Division II offers. And you know, no one wants to go Division II or Division III out of junior college, but the way I look at it is it's not the destination, it's the journey. Like, where are you going to get better? Where are you going to grow? Where are you going to be utilized to the top of your potential? So it wasn't important to me if it was Division II or not. What was important to me was I going to get better there? And I, you know, no disrespect to any of those programs, I wish them well, and I appreciate them for offering me those opportunities. I just didn't feel like that was the level where I was going to get better at, if that makes sense. And so I know you're going to ask this later, so I'll cover it now. I did commit to Tusculum initially, but I felt like I was there for the wrong reasons, and I just had this gut instinct like, RJ, go back home and wait this thing out. It's going to work out. And there was no rationality to it. It was just something in my gut that told me, go, just, you know, like, just decommit, leave. So I did that, and it has paid off beautifully. I'm like, the amount of Division I and Division II attention I've been getting is just pure insanity. I would have never expected this to happen, of all things, you know, because
Yeah.
at least to my knowledge, the show doesn't do that for guys. That's what I was told, because those guys are already signed. But then I didn't take into account that I'm not signed. So obviously there's going to be a lot of attention, and it was just crazy, man. You know, like, I just feel so thankful. It still feels like I'm dreaming, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's just wild. But that's pretty much my story and my process at Laney College up until this point.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, it's basically, bro, like, you became a star overnight. And I was going to kind of touch on it a little bit earlier, but we can just do it now, bro. Fuck it. Like, literally, bro, like the show always, like, everyone's signed, like, and it's always like the spotlight players are always going D1, bro. Like, you're not seeing, like, you know, like, I kind of talked to you a little bit, like, we were talking for about 10 minutes before, you know, I hit record. But
Yeah.
you know, like I was explaining to you, bro, it's always like dudes getting in trouble and getting sent down, like their former D1 guys. They never spotlight guys like you until this season, bro. Like, you just bust your ass, bro. And like, that's what I respect the most. I think that's what the fans respect the most, is like, bro, you're just like a wholehearted dude. And like, and I'm a big trust your gut guy as well. And bro, like, trusting your gut's going to pay off, because like, obviously this show dropped like a week ago, and now like you're getting those D1 looks, and like your dream school, Cal, bro, you never know.
Never know, man. Even if it's a preferred walk-on, you know, I will take that, because I know I'll earn a scholarship.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy because these are schools that I only dreamed of getting talked to by or hitting me up, and it's just wild.
Exactly.
No offer yet, but the interest in of itself is just mind blowing.
Exactly.
Talking to these guys, being in the loop.
So let's go back a little bit. Explain kind of how difficult it is to play at Laney as opposed to some other JUCOs. Like you guys had to find your own housing. You had like little to no financial aid. You guys had to like feed yourselves, stuff like that. They kind of touched on it a little bit with Dior. They didn't really touch on it like too much with you and stuff. Kind of just give us like your perspective from like not necessarily like what the show portrayed, but like kind of really like what it's like. Like what's the actual struggle like?
Yeah, sure. So I would actually say the show does a good job of portraying what the struggle is like. And, I think that's embodied by the fact that one of our best players was sleeping in his car. Which is, it's just crazy to me. I have so much respect for that guy. Like I can't imagine sleeping like, you know what I mean? It's just crazy to me. But basically in California, we don't have dorms. We don't have meal plans. We don't have scholarships. None of that. It's hard. And it's especially hard if you're an out-of-state guy. So a good teammate of mine, a great friend of mine, Aquante Morris, our tight end hybrid kind of guy, he's featured on the show a little bit. He's from Las Vegas. I believe his first year out here, he had to take out like a pretty significant loan just to be able to afford housing at a janky spot in West Oakland. So it's tough, man, and then he doesn't qualify. I don't know that he qualified for financial aid because he's out of state. And so it's tough. Like the only silver lining is that depending on your financial situation with your parents, you can qualify for a pretty decent amount of money per semester, about $3,000. But to stretch $3,300 for 6 months per semester, it's tough. Like it's virtually nothing in California. You know what I mean? So it really is that difficult, dude. And it takes a different kind of cat to play at Laney. I mean, I can't tell you how many talented football players I have run into there who don't make it past a week. And I mean they're talented, but they just don't last. We had a guy my freshman year there. He was from Mississippi, and he had an offer from Ole Miss, I believe, but they had to send him to a JUCO because he didn't have grades. That dude he lasted 3 days, and he left. I'm not kidding. He went back home, and I don't know whether it was for the situation or what have you, but he left. And Laney is just they're not here to stroke your ego. They're not here to they're definitely there to get guys out, but their number one goal is to win games, and they want guys who want to win games, right? And so if you're not that guy, if you can't help us win because you can't check your ego at the door, you got to go. You got to leave. And not a lot of JUCOs are like that. A lot of other JUCOs are about, well, we want to get guys out, and we don't really care how many games we win. Obviously, we'd like to win games, but the bigger goal is getting guys out, and that's fine with me. That's dope. But I would say that it makes it easier to go to another place and play there more consistently because of that reason than it is to come to Laney and do that. And also, if you can't take getting cussed out every single day, you're not gonna make it, dude. I literally got cussed out every single day by Coach Beam.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when did you kind of find out Last Chance U was coming to Laney? Were you surprised, and like kind of were you a fan of the show before you found out they were coming?
So here's the crazy thing, dude. I actually up until that point hadn't watched the show at all. I'm not a big TV guy. I don't really watch a lot of shows. But I always thought to myself, like, man, like that would be a really dope show to be on. Like for years, ever since it came out, I was like, man, that would be sick to be on. That would, that's awesome, right? That was just always in the back of my mind. And basically in April of 2019, I get to school and we're about to practice and stuff. And I'm like, I see all these cameras. And before we start up, Coach Beam's like, all right, we got people here today. We're going to film you. And he's like super exasperated. Like it doesn't matter at all. He's like, just don't pay attention to it, dude. It's not that serious. Do what you got to do. And then, get the fuck out of here. Just a typical good old-fashioned Coach Beam pre-practice speech. Those are the best things in the world, in my opinion. But, yeah, and so, like, it all dawned on us, like, wait a minute. Is this Last Chance U? Oh, shit. Because they're doing test footage. And, like, I saw one of the backs of their shirts, and it said Last Chance U, and I was like, oh, shit. And then they were gone, and we didn't see them for a couple months, and we were like, oh shit, you know, we scared them off, right? And then summer ball goes by, and then we get to the first week of fall camp, and I'm actually running a little late. Bart was kind of janky that day, and I'm running to practice. I run upstairs. I'm literally 2 minutes before our team meeting starts, and I walk upstairs, and I just see a hallway full of people with these black shirts on and cameras and equipment, and I'm like, oh shit, you know? And I'm like, oh my God. And you know, they announced to us that we're going to be on Last Chance U. And I was like, oh my, what? And like and for me, that was a special moment because I realized like everything happens for a reason. Everything comes full circle. If I hadn't gotten hurt that year, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be on that show and to tell my story. And so for me, it was beautiful. It was like, wow, dude, like, what the, you know, like, what are the odds? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so yeah, it was definitely exciting. But I didn't have any aspirations of like, oh, I hope they come talk to me. Like, obviously that would be cool, but I was just worried about getting better, and like whoever they chose is who they chose. But they wound
So
up.
who chooses? Like, do the producers of the show choose, or does like they get the input of John Beam and then he says this guy's a dog, like pick them, they got cool stories. Like, how's that work?
I believe it's both. So I think I was actually the last guy they walked up to and talked to. Because again, I get yelled at a lot. I get like a lot, dude. I'll do something right and I will get yelled at. I'm not kidding. Like, yeah, like, so one day it was our second scrimmage, inter-squad scrimmage of the year before we went and scrimmage, Sac City, the next week. And I had a really good game. You know, I was doing really well. And so, I come off the sideline, they tell me, you know, you're done for the day. Good job today. And, you know, Greg and Daniel, you know, they walk up to me and they're like, what's your name, man? Like, what's your story? Like, how do you get here every day? And I start talking to them, and they just like, they look at each other, they look at me, and then they're like, the conversation starts to carry a little more. And like, well, we'd love to follow you home on Bart one day. And like, would you be open to letting us do that? And I was like, yeah, man, it's dope. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I'll be in the intro for like how kids get to school. That's cool. Like I can say, oh, you know, look. But like, little did I know, like that would lead to interviews and, you know, just tons of camera time and just all this interest in my life and being given a platform to tell my story. So I don't know what Beam told them about me or whether or not to go talk to me. But you know, if he did, I'm very grateful because everything that's coming.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on it a little bit later, but like he definitely, I get the vibe because like it just reminds me a lot of my high school football coach, because I was the same way, bro. Like I was so unfamiliar with football. I'd never played. I played like outside linebacker, D end, O line at $150, bro. Like, and so I was getting screamed at, dog, every day. And like now looking back at it, bro, we have like such a mutual respect for each other, and I'm pretty sure that's how it is with you and Coach Beam as well. Like even towards the end, he was just like I got a lot of respect for that dude or something. I don't remember. I only watched it once, but yeah, like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of mutual respect there.
It definitely is, man. Like I'll talk about this. So there's points in the show where we get into it. What they don't show is like us like talking through it and being over it. But the problem with us was he wasn't aware of my situation, and that's I wouldn't necessarily say it's anyone's fault. I'm of the opinion that nothing else matters except what you do today and how hard you work. You shouldn't have an excuse. You shouldn't make an excuse. You know, there is no excuse to not come in and do your job. And so I never asked for help. I never talked to anybody about my problems, and I never like, if I had a bad day and it was because of what was going on outside of football, I never talked about it. I just was like, no, dude, you got to get out of this, right? You got to do something. You know, you got to get better somehow. So like, there's no point in sitting here feeling sorry for yourself and your situation. Like, who cares that stuff is messed up outside of football? You know, like, that's why you're trying to get back. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get away from that. So if you take away from your time during practice, it's going to take away from your chances of succeeding. And, you know, that's not necessarily always the healthiest way to deal with it, because it's definitely hard on your mental, right? And so, but me and Beam just quite frankly, we just never talked about those things. And, I would say for the last 4 weeks, me and him have talked, twice a week on the phone. The conversation times vary, but, we definitely care about each other, and we're all good.
Help me get him on the show, bro.
My best. I will do my best.
But
like if my DMs are crazy, I can't imagine what his are like.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I didn't even try, bro. I was like, I ain't got no shot in hell. But so you were instantly a fan favorite, my guy. Were you happy with the way the producers portrayed you? And did they leave anything out that you like kind of wish they would include?
So I think what they showed was accurate. Because what they're doing is they're giving you an insider look at our story, but they're also showing it in a way that's how it would be viewed as, because you can't really always know what goes on inside, you know what I mean? But there are a couple things. So, and I get it, it's a reality. You have to have some discord, and this was definitely a point of discord. Me and my vertical routes. Okay, so here's the truth. Yes, every once in a while I get excited because I know I'm potentially getting a deep shot, and I rush my release at the line. Or maybe like I beat the guy at the line, but I don't restack that well. But I would say 95% of the time that wasn't the case. Like it really wasn't. And so it felt like it was cherry picking to me whenever Beam did have a problem with it, because I beat guys vertically all the time. I just never got the ball all the time by like 3 or 4 yards. Okay, like I'm not that fast, but I can run. So yeah, I would say if they had shown mine and Rajon's one-on-ones, like more of them, like I think that would have given guys a much better idea of like what I'm actually capable of, and that I'm not just like, because some people think I was like whining or bitching and complaining and like not working on what I need to work on. And that's just not true. And like I feel like those people are probably far and few in between, but it was frustrating not seeing that body of work that me and him had between each other, because we had a mutual respect for one another. We only went one-on-ones with each other, and it was 50-50, I would say. It really was.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing I wish they would have included. Just to like give people a better perspective of like, here's what Coach Beam is saying, but here's what I'm doing at practice. So then other people could decide more thoroughly like what to think about that. But at the end of the day, man, it is what it is,
Right.
Have to get back.
Yeah, kind of like I mentioned earlier, bro. Like, I think you're probably one of the most relatable characters on the show, and that's why, like, as soon as like I was at like episode 4, and I think I DM'd you, and you got back to me within 10 minutes. I know your DMs have been crazy, but like you still managed to get back to me. I appreciate that, by the way. So yeah, I mean that's just why, like, you kind of telling me before the show, you're just you consider yourself an average Joe. You do your thing, you grind, you ball out, and you just happen to be on one of the best TV shows in America, but like no big deal or anything, bro. But so we kind of touched on it a few minutes ago, but let's just kind of talk about your relationship with Coach Beam. I know you guys seem to butt heads a bit on the show, but I just kind of want to know what your relationship's like off camera.
So I would actually say, they did a pretty good job of portraying our relationship, I think, up until that point. And again, it's no one's fault. We just didn't communicate certain things, right? But our relationship was basically, I can be a bit of a klutz in his eyes, or a dumbass, if you will. And, he doesn't have time for that. And I totally respect that. I get that I get it, because I don't like dealing with people who don't know what they're doing either. I can't tell you how many times, like, teammates or like other people were like, hey, what am I doing on this? And it's like, oh my Lord, like this is why we're not good, guys. No shade or anything, but like, so I get it, right? And so he was hard on me. He was really hard on me, but I've had a hard life. Not as hard as some. I've been very fortunate to have the things that I do have. But I just recognize that some people they're going to be hard on you for whatever reason, whether it's because they want to see you get better, or maybe they don't like something that you do, whatever it might be. It's for a reason. And most times I think with coaches, it's a good reason. And actually the times that we butted head on camera, it's funny, man. Like those sound bites that they use were all from the same week, but they kind of sprinkle it in all in like throughout the show. And that was just like, I was just really frustrated after we played Butte, because I felt like throwing the ball deep to me would have made a big difference. And if I had been put in certain spots that we did throw the ball, it just wasn't to me, that we would have actually won that game. And to know that you can make a difference and then basically being rendered useless the whole time was frustrating. And I got really emotional, and I said some things that, obviously I don't mean, because I have a lot of respect for Coach Beam. He is a legendary head coach. So yeah, I would say our relationship was cool, but I wouldn't really call it a relationship, if that makes sense. Like the relationship he has with Beam, I mean, with Dior, with Ray, with New, with all these other guys was, I think, a lot stronger during the season. And again, it's no one's fault, but right now we're awesome, man. I love that guy. Seriously, I really get why players pick up his phone calls after he's done coaching them. I really understand it. Awesome. He's a great dude. Seriously.
Yeah, and I get those vibes. I love the fact that Coach Beam isn't like he yells, right? He yells, but he's not like the coaches from other Last Chance U seasons. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the other seasons, but
Yeah.
But they're insane, like throwing hands with other dudes, like the shit they say. It's just ridiculous. And it gets to the point where the show's not even good because of how much drama there is. So I love that Coach Beam is hard on you guys, right? But he's hard to a certain extent that he genuinely wants you to be better. And he's genuinely like getting you ready for life. Like living in California, bro, cost of living is insane. I know you know that. But like, bro, like I feel like half of the dudes on that team wouldn't even be like mentally prepared for life if it wasn't for Coach Beam's guidance. And I don't know if you could second that or not, but
100%.
So
he's willing to teach you lessons about yourself and about life that other coaches just don't care to. I don't hear anybody on the previous seasons saying that no one's going to like hold your hand. Well, I mean, they do, but like they're not doing it in a constructive way. Like Beam is just real with it. He's like, dude, look, if you're not showing up to practice, why the hell would I play you? I've never heard people on the other shows saying anything like that. Players would not show up to practice and they would still get playtime.
Or with the jersey number thing, he's like, the players make the numbers, bro. Not like, don't come in my office complaining about a jersey number. Right.
But like, what I respect about it was he wasn't a dick about it. I can't tell you how many coaches have been like, get the fuck out of my face with that shit. It's like, that's not productive, at all. It's little things that he does that are different from other coaches, but it's the way that he does those things that separates him and puts him at a higher tier than those guys, in my opinion. And he's not over dramatic, like he's himself no matter what.
Yeah. So I know you're starting to garner a little bit more interest from higher schools now. But during the season, a lot of people obviously didn't know this, but so the question is just like, you seem to like play with a really just massive chip on your shoulder, bro. And you play like super well, like your tape's there, everything's there. Like you grind, bro. You're an absolute hard worker. I'm sure if anybody were to ask Coach Beam if you're a hard worker, he would back your ass up in a second. So why do you think big schools weren't reaching out to you during the show? I know they're reaching out to you now a little bit, but why aren't they reaching out to you during the show?
I mean, plain and simple, it's like, no one knew that I was going to be a part of this show except for people that were there. So no one can see like what kind of person I am just like on the outside. Like, oh, here's this kid DMing me on Twitter or calling me asking about a possible walk-ons opportunity. So it's just like I have a million other kids in America I could reach out to. Why would I talk to you type deal? I'm not saying that's their train of thought. I'm just saying like they're busy, like they're not going to take certain things like that into account. And I don't know, man. It might just be a culture thing. I'm not used to the Division One. I'm not used to talking to Division One coaches. I've only been doing it for a week. It's weird to me. But they're just regular people who like they get sidetracked. They have guys that they want to pursue. I don't know, man. But yeah, I really couldn't tell you why coaches weren't reaching out to me. I really couldn't. I maybe it's just because like sure I have good film, but like. It's not like I was like leading the state in receptions or yards or touchdowns. And so it's like, why would we go get this junior college guy who doesn't lead a statistical category at all? So I get it. But at the same time, it's like, if you look at what I did do and how I did play, I think, it would have changed some minds. So, yeah, like again,
a lethal slot guy for maybe not like the top like Clemson or Ohio State or a team like that, but like, bro, you could easily get out there and play for like Cal or something like that and just be a dominant slot guy.
The way I look at it is like, dude, I always rise to an occasion. The higher the stakes, the better I perform. All my best plays came when I was under pressure. I had a touchdown on 3rd down and long against Modesto. We were down a touchdown. That put us up one. Or it was tied, I believe. That put us up, right? A 61-yard bomb for a touchdown. We were playing San Mateo. We needed a big play on 1st down or to pick up a 1st down. We roll out. Ryan throws me a straight dot. And I adjust to it and get both feet in bounds, right? Then I have that touchdown on, I think it was like 2nd and long or 2nd and goal or something like that from the 25-yard line. Touchdown. That puts us right back in the game. You know, they were beating us, I think, 28-7. They were beating the crap out of us. And so anytime they have called on me to make a play, I've done it. You know what I mean? I've always done things to put us in a position to be successful. And I pride myself on that. So that's why, you know, I kind of just felt disrespected altogether. I don't know if I was getting sidetracked there. I forget where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good, bro. So on to the next question. What's it like kind of trying to prepare for games, you know, study film and all that with cameras everywhere? And did it ever create a distraction?
No, not at all. Those people, you know, Terry, Daniel, Greg, Ashley, all those guys, you know, the countless amount of people who worked on the show, they were so down to earth. You know, they were basically family. So it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like, oh, like how we go to meetings, you know, at 1:00 and how we go lift. Like, oh, it's the same thing as, oh, they're in here for our meetings. They're watching us. They're filming us lift. Like, it's just a part of it. They became a part of the Laney college football family. So it wasn't a distraction. It wasn't weird. It was just normal. You know,
there was never like a time when like maybe Coach Beam's heated and he's just like, get that camera out of my face. Because I know in like past seasons, someone's interviewed like other coaches and whatnot, and they would like snap back and say, get that out of my face and shit like that. Nothing?
I'm a coach. They want to look hard. I don't know what to tell you.
That's facts, bro. Everyone's trying to look hard.
It's always the dudes, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but that sounds like to me is like, I've never met somebody who was, you know, like, excuse my language, but with the shit, who was just like, get that out of my face, or like, get that out of my, like, they don't say nothing. You know, silent but deadly.
Right.
Same concept. When you're not running your mouth, it's because there's nothing going on up here.
That's
okay?
Facts.
You're quiet and observant. It's because you could say a whole lot of stuff. You're taking in all the information. I don't know. That's why I think about guys like that. Like, it's just dramatic. Like, there's no need to do that. They're just there doing their job.
That's
so
facts.
Yeah, we never did that.
That's what's
none
up.
of us did. Yeah.
That's cool. That's what's up. So aside from you, of course, who is the best player from that team that was featured on Last Chance U?
For me.
You could pick two if you want. One on the offense, one on the defense.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious who I think the best player is. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think Randy or Habit. I think those guys are amazing. Obviously, I went one-on-one with Ray every single day, and you know, he certainly tested me. The reason I became a good route runner was because I went one-on-ones with him every single day. So I owe a lot of that to him, just being able to get that kind of work. He's the best corner I've ever seen, you know, in front of me. Seriously.
Agreed.
Yeah. He made guys who I went up against every week look like absolute hot garbage. I mean, they were just not good. I was just like, what the fuck? Are you guys play college football? Are you serious? It was just crazy to me. And then, you know, Dior's a baller, man. Straight up baller. Like, kid does stuff on the football field that kids his size are scared to do and just could never dream of doing. He's super athletic. But another one that I want to shout out is severely underrated is my boy Quante Morris.
Agreed, bro.
Bro, he is an animal. I swear to dude, I had a punt return, and I don't know why they didn't show it. Probably because I ended up not scoring. But it was like for like 50 or some yards, and he put 3 dudes on their ass at the same time. Quante is 5'10". Okay, that's generous, mind you. But he's yoked, right? And he was just mauling dudes like twice his size. I was like, what the fuck? And anytime this kid got the ball in his hands, he made positive yards, big plays. He had a couple one-handed catches. I mean, that dude to me was one of our best players.
Where's he balling at, bro?
Oh, he's walking on I think at Grambling State. Don't quote me on that. I think it's that one. I think it's Grambling State though.
That's what's up, man. I like to see everybody win. Anybody else go D1 that no one really knew about on the show, or was it just like kind of the featured guys and that's really all that really happened?
Yeah, plenty of guys. Amir, what's his last name? Oh, I can't remember Amir's last name. Oh, he's gonna hate me. But Amir, our defensive lineman, number 48, he got a full ride to Wazoo, Washington State.
That's what's up.
Oh, and then our punter, the Australian kid, Josh Green, he's up at Oregon State with Ray and his brother and Jordan.
That's what's up. Why didn't they feature any of those guys? I feel like in other seasons they featured a lot more players. This season they just kind of they had like the 4 or 5 of you, and then.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it, dude, is like I think it's easier to feature other guys because their stories are all pretty similar, and you can spend more time with other dudes. Because it's just like, yeah, they're all saying the same stuff, but
yeah, true.
Yours, mine, Ray's, and new stories are just so different. They're very different.
Yeah,
very different. You know what I mean? And so they take a lot more time to explore and to tell and to focus on. And that's my guess. Although I think guys like Aquante and Josh and you know, like those guys, they would have made great additions. But I also understand that like a lot of guys were nervous about being on camera. Like my boy KP was just like, "Don't put me on camera, folks." That's how he talks. He's from Chicago. We have like an inside joke. If he ever sees us, anyway. But he would not. He hated being on camera because he knew he would say something stupid. And so yeah, like I knew that guys were just like, yeah, don't put me on camera. I'm gonna say some reckless shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could have been one of those things. Like they just don't want the attention, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's up. So what was your reaction to the show dropping, and how big of a following did you get right after the shit dropped?
All right. My reaction was like, whoa, I can't believe I'm on TV. Like I couldn't sleep that night. I watched
not only on TV, bro, but like every fucking kid in America is watching this show.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. But that Monday, like I only had like 1,300 followers. The next day, I had like 7,000 followers. And then right now, I don't even know how many.
You're
I have,
at
like
14K, something like that. 14, 15, something like that.
I have more. I was actually checking my Instagram. I had 18.6 or something.
Oh shit! You grew since yesterday, dog.
Yeah. No, I've been gaining like 7,000. I'm sorry. I've been gaining 1,000 to 1,500 a day consistently. Weird. It's weird. It's weird.
Hey man, you got to be smart with it though. You got to start branching off, bro. Maybe drop some merch, something like that, and then kind of brand yourself. Obviously, once you're done with college football, even though they're kind of dropping some rules now, you might be able to make a little money off yourself. So we'll see.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't want to get myself in trouble here. Never mind. But no. Yeah, maybe. I haven't. People have reached out, but I've just ignored it. I've just because those are against the rules. But that would be cool if they drop those rules and like you can because athletes should be able to make money off of their name and their likeness, or at least get a percentage of the money that comes in from them. Because there are college football players that are worth $500,000 or more.
Right. There's no reason a fucking college athlete should have to have anything kind of similar to like Dior. Like there's no reason why anyone should be sleeping in their car.
Absolutely. 100%.
It's insane. But so what's next for you, bro?
Just whenever school decides to pick me up, whether that's Cal, whether that's Ohio, Dayton, any of those schools, man. That's the next move. I would love to play at Cal. That is my dream school. But a lot of stuff has to happen for that to work out. But I have full confidence that whatever happens, I'm gonna go somewhere I'm wanted and where I can succeed and get a good degree and move on. So
if you come to Dayton, I'm about to pull up. I'm not too far.
Yeah, I like University of Dayton actually. I like them a lot.
That's what's up.
Me and their coach have a good relationship over there. So yeah, man, it's a lot, but there's a lot that has to fall into place in order for certain things to work out. So we'll see, man. It's kind of up in the air for me right now. I'm just enjoying the ride and trying to navigate what the next move is for me. What's the next best move?
For sure, bro. One last question for you, bro. I appreciate all your time today, RJ. I know it's been kind of one of my longer podcasts, and it's a banger. But any advice for the young JUCO athletes, high school athletes, maybe guys not getting any looks? Give them some advice, bro.
Look, so if you're a high school guy and you're feeling underrated or overlooked, you need to ask yourself something. And this is going to sound really messed up, but are you actually underrated or overlooked? There's not a lot of guys who like can actually play ball but get overlooked at their high schools or maybe even at their JUCOs. A lot of times, basically what I'm saying is you need to be honest with yourself. Are you really putting in the work? Are you really like that? Can you really play ball? So that's the first thing. If the answer is yes, undoubtedly, then you need to take a look at why is it you're not getting those opportunities. It's probably your work ethic or your lack of focus. The three biggest things to succeed at the JUCO level is focus. Okay, you need to focus, you need to work hard, but most importantly, and this is the biggest one, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, I don't care how hard you work or how focused you are, you will never go anywhere. You will never, ever make it to that point unless you're here with it. You believe that you can do it. That's honestly the biggest thing that has helped me, right? So I'm just speaking from experience. I have just had this almost insane level of belief in myself. Even if people are just like, yeah, you're crazy. Like people in my family talk to me say I'm crazy all the time. At least, well, they used to. Obviously it's different now considering all things considered, but you just have to have a conviction about yourself and you need to focus it in a way that's going to be beneficial for you. So just be honest with yourself, focus, work your tail off, and believe in yourself. Those are the things that I would say will do you a lot of justice in the long run for anybody, in that position.
Yeah, for sure. RJ, I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Anytime, yeah, of course. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm really happy you reached out and asked me to.
Yeah, no worries. Make sure y'all check out my boy. I'm going to link his Instagram, his Twitter, everything down below. So y'all got to make sure y'all follow my boy, help him grow those followers, all that good stuff. All right, my guy.